This video is about Thor strikes Midgard's frost giants in Asgard, but Loki's betrayal unleashes doom. If this myth excites you, please like the video, share it with friends, and write in the comments how it pulled you into the adventure. In the realm of Asgard, where the shimmering halls of the gods cast shadows under the golden light of the eternal sun, and ease rippled through the air, Odin, the All-Father, sat upon his gilded throne, his one eye piercing through the tapestry of fate, sensing the tumult brewing beyond the icy waters of Jotunheim, the land of the frost giants. The council of the Aesir gathered amidst the swirling mist of the sacred hall, a place where destinies were forged and fates sealed. Frigg, the wise and radiant queen, stood beside her husband, her brow knitted with concern. A storm brews, my lord, the frost giants stir with malice, their icy hearts seeking vengeance for the banishment of their kin. They plot their return to Midgard. Thor, the god of thunder, brimming with the fiery spirit of a warrior, clutched Mjolnir, his enchanted hammer, as he exclaimed, "Let them come, I shall crush their icy spirits and remind them of the wrath of Asgard. They dare not tread upon Midgard again." Loki, the trickster god, loomed in the shadows, a faint smile dancing upon his lips. "Ah, Thor, your valor blinds you. What if these giants possess powers that even your thunder cannot quell? Might there be a deeper game at play?" Thor shot Loki a fierce glare, his temper like a crack of lightning. "Your words drip with deceit, brother. Speak plainly or do not speak at all." But Odin raised his hand, silencing the brewing conflict. "Enough, the frost giants must be dealt with. Lest their wrath descend upon Midgard, we shall send forth a legion of our strongest warriors." He paused, studying the room, his voice a low rumble. "And we shall send Thor to lead them." The mention of Thor's name ignited the fires of excitement in the hearts of the gathered gods, for he was revered as the mightiest protector of all realms. Yet a shadow lingered in Loki'S eyes, knowing that chaos would follow any decision made in haste. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of crimson, Thor donned his armor and prepared for battle. The golden halls echoed with the clank of weapons and the shouts of warriors rallying to follow their thunderous leader. Among them were Freyja, the goddess of love and war, and Sif, Thor's fierce and unwavering wife, whose blade sparkled with the promise of vengeance. "Remember, my love," Sif spoke, her voice steady yet laced with concern. "The giants are cunning, and their hearts are as cold as their homeland. Do not let your anger blind your judgment." Thor nodded solemnly, his heart heavy with the weight of destiny. "I will protect Midgard and honor our kin. We shall not falter." With a thunderous roar, the warriors of Asgard marched forth, crossing the Bifrost Bridge, a shimmering arc of colors that connected the realms. As they stepped into Jotunheim, the air grew frigid, and the looming figures of frost giants emerged, towering over them like ancient mountains. The ground trembled as the giants approached, their laughter like crashing ice. "The Aesir dare invade our land. How foolish," bellowed Kaldur, a giant draped in the skins of slain beasts, his eyes glistening with malice. Thor stepped forward, raising Mjolnir high. "We come not to parley, but to reclaim the honor of Midgard, prepare to face the wrath of the gods." In that moment, the air crackled with tension, and the battle erupted. Thor's hammer swung like a tempest, smashing through the ranks of giants, sending shards of ice and snow scattering like dazzling stars in a darkened sky. Freyja called upon her Valkyrie sisters, their fierce war cries mingling with the thunder of battle. But amidst the chaos, Loki lingered at the fringes of the conflict, his mind racing with treachery. He had seen a vision, a horrific glimpse of the calamity that would befall Asgard should the giants be eradicated. But would the gods heed his warnings? Or would they be blinded by their own righteousness? As the battle raged, the cries of fallen warriors echoed through the icy mountains. Thor fought valiantly, his heart fueled by love for his homeland, yet dread gnawed at him as he sensed the tides of fate shifting. He turned to Sif, who fought with unmatched grace. "Stay close, my heart, we cannot afford to be separated." But Loki, with a flick of his wrist, summoned a blizzard that engulfed the battlefield, disorienting both gods and giants alike. "Let them think they are victorious, I shall weave a web of destruction," he whispered, a sinister grin stretching across his face. In the heart of the blizzard, Sif was surrounded by a horde of giants, their icy breath chilling her to the bone. "Stay back," she shouted, cutting through the thick air with her blade. Yet the giants pressed forward, each one hungering for the glory of battle. "Where is your husband now, war goddess?" Kaldur taunted, his voice echoing like thunder. "Left to fight his own battles while you dance with death." With a fierce cry, Sif lunged at Kaldur, her blade seeking vengeance, but suddenly the storm intensified. Loki'S magic twisted the winds, knocking her off balance. She staggered, and the giants seized the chance. "Ah!" Thor roared, witnessing Sif's peril. He pushed through the swirling snow, fighting against the elemental chaos. But as he reached her side, he felt a sharp pain in his side. A frost giant spear had pierced through his armor. "Brother to me!" Loki called out, feigning concern, yet his eyes sparkled with malice as he manipulated the storm, enveloping Thor in an icy embrace. Thor, struggling to rise, gritted his teeth against the pain. "Loki, what treachery is this?" "Just a gentle reminder, dear brother," Loki said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Not all battles can be won with brute strength alone." The battle raged around them, but for Thor, time seemed to slow. The piercing gaze of Sif urged him, and the cries of the fallen echoed in his mind. He could not yield to Loki'S betrayal. He had to protect what was precious. With a primal roar, Thor summoned every shred of his strength, breaking free from the icy grip that sought to bind him. He raised Mjolnir high, channeling the storm that crackled above, and unleashed a torrent of divine energy that shattered the blizzard, illuminating the battlefield with blinding light. The frost giants faltered, momentarily stunned, but the chaos had twisted the views of allies and foes alike. In the chaos, Loki'S laughter rang clear, a haunting melody that seeped into the hearts of the gods. "What will you do now, Thor? The winds of fate have shifted." As if awakening from a nightmare, the warriors of Asgard rallied behind their thunderous leader, their spirits reignited. "Onward!" shouted Freyja, her voice resolute, wielding her sword like a beacon of hope. "The frost giants may be strong, but we are stronger together." With renewed determination, Thor charged into the fray, Mjolnir crackling with power as he struck the earth, and a shockwave rippled outward, knocking giants to their feet. But in that moment of triumph, Loki'S treachery would bear a heavy price. "Fate is not settled yet," he whispered to the shadows, plotting his next move. For deep within his heart, he knew that unleashing doom upon Asgard would make the gods pay dearly, for nothing in this world was without consequence. As the battle continued, the line between victory and defeat blurred, destiny weaving a tapestry of honor and tragedy. The clash of steel rang out, and in the heart of the storm, the gods fought not just for glory, but for the very soul of Midgard. Yet even as they fought with valor, the seeds of betrayal had been sown. The tides of fate whispered of darkness approaching, a darkness that would test the bonds of kinship and unravel the very fabric of the realms themselves. With each swing of Mjolnir, with each fallen giant, the gods forged ahead, unaware that Loki'S plot had only just begun to unfurl, and that the doom he unleashed would change the fate of Asgard forever. Thus, a saga of betrayal, honor, and the thirst for revenge intertwined, setting the stage for an epic confrontation that would determine the fate of gods and giants alike. The winds howled, and the storm raged on, heralding a war that would echo through the annals of time. As the battle raged on in the frozen expanse of Jotunheim, the clash of steel and the roar of thunder intertwined with the ominous whispers of destiny. The frost giants, fierce and relentless, bore down upon the Aesir, each strike a testament to their icy might. Yet it was Loki's treachery that wove a deeper layer of chaos amidst the carnage. Thor, his heart pounding like the tempests above, felt every fiber of his being torn between fury and despair. He fought with the ferocity of a storm unleashed, Mjolnir dancing in his hands as arcs of lightning illuminated the battlefield. For Midgard, he shouted, but the words felt hollow amidst the cacophony of war. As he struck down another giant, he could feel Loki'S presence lurking, weaving shadows amid the light, a viper waiting to strike. In the midst of the fray, Freyja and Sif forged their own path through the towering giants. Sif's blades sang, a silver streak cutting through the air as she dispatched foes with the grace of a stone-blown leaf. "We must regroup," she called out, her voice fierce and unwavering, even as her eyes darted toward Thor, who fought valiantly but was ensnared in Loki'S wicked machinations. "Stay close, sister," Freyja shouted, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and resolve. "Our strength lies in unity, and the storm must not separate us." But as she spoke, the blizzard raged more fiercely, thickening the veil that separated allies from foes. Elsewhere on the battlefield, Loki watched the chaos with an almost gleeful detachment, his heart a tempest of conflicting emotions. In his twisted mind, he justified his betrayal with visions of a greater purpose, a fate where he, not Odin, would hold dominion over the realms. "Let them suffer," Loki murmured, casting another spell that sent shards of ice crashing into the ranks of Asgardian warriors. "Perhaps then they will see the truth in my designs." The winds howled, and the ground shook beneath the weight of colossal giants, their icy forms moving with terrifying precision. Haldir, the leader of the giants, raised his massive club to the sky, rallying his kin. "Strike them down, let their blood turn the snow red, let them remember the day the Aesir fell." The frost giants surged, their monstrous forms echoing through the icy wasteland as they pressed the attack. Thor, feeling the weight of the world upon his shoulders, bellowed a challenge to Keldur. You think you can conquer Asgard's might? I am Thor, and today you will know my wrath. With that, he channeled the full force of the storm, the skies above responding to his call as lightning struck the ground around him, creating a barrier of electricity that kept the giants at bay. But in the heart of the battle, the tide began to turn. The frost giants, relentless and cunning, began to encircle the Aesir, their numbers overwhelming. Look to the left, they seek to flank us! Freyja shouted, her battle cry mingling with the crack of thunder as she fought with all her might. Her sword, imbued with the essence of war, glimmered with sacred light, cutting through the shadows and despair. Stand firm, Sif urged, her sword thrusting forward, slicing through the icy onslaught. Together we can push them back. Yet, as they fought, the blizzard roared back to life, and Loki, unseen in the chaos, unleashed another potent spell. The air crackled with dark energy, and from the depths of the storm emerged a creature of unimaginable horror, frostworm, colossal and serpentine, its scales glistening with the chill of Jotunheim's heart. The worm's roar echoed like thunder, drowning out the cries of battle. Behold! Loki cackled, his laughter a chilling serenade. A beast to turn the tide, a storm of ice to consume the foolish gods. The worm descended upon the battlefield, its maw gaping wide, revealing jagged teeth like icy blades. It swept through the ranks of Asgardian warriors, sending them sprawling through the air. Thor's eyes widened as he saw Sif knocked down, her sword flung from her grasp. No, he roared, the primal fear of losing his beloved igniting a fury within him. With a surge of energy, he charged toward the creature, Elna raised high. Foul beast, you will regret crossing paths with the god of thunder. The worm lunged, its icy breath swirling like a tempest. Thor met it head-on, calling forth the full power of the storm as he struck the creature within Elna. Lightning exploded from his hammer, illuminating the darkened skies, and the impact sent shockwaves rippling through the battlefield. In that moment, time seemed to stand still, the worm writhed in agony, its roar shaking the very foundations of the earth. But Loki'S eyes sparkled with malice, watching the chaos unfold with a dark satisfaction. Let them fight. Let them believe victory is within their grasp. As the worm staggered, Thor pressed his advantage, knowing he had to act quickly. Freyja, Sif, we must strike together. He motioned for his allies, rallying them as he called upon the storm to envelop the worm. Now! Freyja shouted, her voice a battle hymn that resonated through the chaos. With every ounce of strength, the three gods unleashed their fury, channeling the elements around them. A torrent of lightning and wind surged forward, a final strike aimed at the heart of the beast. The worm, sensing its doom, twisted in desperation, but it was too late. In a blinding flash, thunder roared, and the creature disintegrated into shards of ice, scattering across the battlefield like falling stars. The remaining frost giants faltered, confusion spreading among their ranks, the tide of battle shifting in favor of the Aesir. Yet even in victory, doubt lingered in Thor's heart. Loki'S betrayal runs deeper than I first thought, he muttered, scanning the fray for his brother. Sif, still recovering from her fall, caught his gaze, her eyes reflecting the storm of emotions brewing within him. Stay vigilant, Thor. Loki'S shadows are never far from our light, she warned, her voice steady and reassuring. We must not forget what he is capable of. As their attention shifted back to the dwindling ranks of giants, Keldur roared in fury. Is this how the Aesir fight, with tricks and deceit? You are but shadows of true warriors. Shadows? Thor snorted, brandishing Elna, the hammer crackling with energy. We are the storm you cannot quell, we are Asgard, and today, we reclaim our honor. With a fierce determination, the gods pressed forward, striking down the remaining giants with renewed fervor. But in the depths of the battle, Loki'S whispers echoed in their minds, sowing seeds of doubt that would bloom into chaos more potent than any blizzard. As the last of the giants fell, a foreboding sense of victory settled over the battlefield. The ground was littered with the remnants of war, the scent of ice mingled with the crimson of battle. Yet Thor felt an unsettling chill, the echoes of Loki'S laughter intertwining with the cries of the fallen. Victory comes at a cost, brother. Loki'S voice seemed to whisper through the howling winds, taunting him from the shadows. And you have yet to see the true price of your triumph. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the once vibrant skies darkened, and an ominous hush fell over Jotunheim. Thor stood among his comrades, the weight of their losses heavy upon him. In the distance, Loki's silhouette loomed, a harbinger of doom shrouded in ice and shadows. Together, we stand, Freyja declared, her voice breaking the silence. Though the path ahead may be fraught with peril, we will not falter. But Thor knew that the true battle was yet to come, and that Loki'S betrayal had only just begun to unfold. The stories of honor, tragedy, and perseverance would echo through the ages, and the gods would face the greatest challenge yet. Would they stand united, or would the seeds of distrust tear them asunder in their most desperate hour? As the winds howled and the darkness deepened, Thor gripped Mjolnir tightly, vowing to protect what remained of their kin against the shadows that loomed ever closer. For in the heart of the storm, destiny awaited an epic clash of gods, monsters, and the enduring spirit of honor that would ripple through the cosmos, forever intertwining their fates. In the aftermath of the battle against the frost giants, a profound stillness blanketed Jotunheim, a deceptive calm that surrounded the weary gods. As the last echoes of battle faded into the icy winds, Thor stood amidst the fallen, his heart heavy with grief for the warriors they had lost. The once glorious landscape lay marred, the beauty of the frost now a cruel reminder of the cost of war. "Look at what we've wrought," Sif murmured, her voice trembling as she surveyed the battlefield. Her once bright armor, now stained with the remnants of battle, mirrored the pain in her heart. "Our kin have paid dearly for our honor." Thor turned to her, the weight of the world pressing down upon him. "We fought to protect Midgard, to safeguard those we love. Their sacrifices will not be in vain." Yet even as he spoke, doubt gnawed at him. "But Loki, he has played a treacherous game, and I fear this is only the beginning." Freyja, her spirit unyielding, stepped closer, her gaze piercing through the veil of uncertainty. "We must confront our brother. His betrayal is poison in the veins of Asgard, and we cannot let him walk free among us." As if summoned by her words, a chilling wind swept through the mountains, and from the depths of the shadows emerged Loki, draped in a cloak of midnight. His laughter echoed like a haunting melody, a stark contrast to the summer atmosphere. "Ah, dear siblings, rejoicing in your hollow victory, oh we, how delightfully Navi!" Anger surged within Thor at the sight of his brother, the embodiment of deceit. "You dare show your face here after what you've done?" He stepped forward, Mjolnir gripped tightly, crackling with fury. "You have betrayed us all." "Betrayed?" Loki feigned shock, raising his hands in mock surrender. "I merely opened your eyes to the reality of our existence. What is honor, dear brother, when the world is but a stage for greater powers? You're but pawns in a game far beyond your understanding." Freyja's eyes blazed with defiance. "Your games will lead only to ruin, Loki. You wield chaos like a weapon, but know this, we will not falter in the face of your treachery." "Ah, but you are all so predictable," he sneered, his green eyes glinting with mischief. "What if I told you that the true calamity is yet to arrive? You see, while you were busy battling the giants, I made a most curious alliance." A shiver ran down Thor's spine. "What have you done?" Loki grinned, satisfaction curling his lips. "I have summoned the Frost Queen, the most powerful of the ice spirits. She hungers for revenge against Asgard for the fall of her kin. She will engulf this realm in eternal winter, and your precious Midgard will crumble beneath her icy grasp." "Enough!" Sif cried, her voice rising above the cacophony of shifting winds. "You wouldn't dare unleash such devastation." "Dare?" Loki echoed, stepping closer, his voice a seductive whisper. "No, I have already dared beyond your wildest imagination. The Frost Queen will be here soon, and when she arrives, you will wish you had never crossed me." With a wave of his hand, a swelling vortex of frost and shadow coalesced above the horizon, a harbinger of doom that sent tremors of fear coursing through the hearts of the gods. "I suggest you prepare," he said, his voice dripping with malevolence. "Eternal winter is upon you." Before they could respond, Loki vanished into the shadows, leaving behind a chilling silence that spoke of impending doom. The gods exchanged glances, understanding the gravity of the threat that loomed before them. "We must act quickly," Thor said, his voice resolute. "We cannot allow the Frost Queen to awaken with her full power. We must rally our forces and prepare for battle." Freyja nodded, her expression fierce. "I will call upon the Valkyries. They will rally the spirits of fallen warriors to our cause. And I will gather the strength of Asgard," Sif added, her voice unwavering. "We will not let our home fall into despair." With a sense of urgency, the gods set their plans into motion. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting the world into shades of blue and violet, the winds began to howl with an unnatural ferocity. Thor stood at the forefront of their gathering forces, the weight of destiny heavy upon him. The warriors of Asgard assembled, their spirits ignited by the call to arms, ready to protect their realm from the impending doom. "Brothers and sisters," Thor bellowed, raising Mjolnir high. "We stand on the precipice of annihilation, but together, we are stronger than any darkness that seeks to consume us, for honor, for Midgard." The warriors erupted in a fierce battle cry, their voices mingling with the thunder that echoed through the skies. The atmosphere crackled with energy, a tempest brewing as they prepared to face the Frost Queen. As the storm intensified, the earth trembled beneath them, and from the heart of the blizzard, a figure emerged towering and regal, draped in robes of shimmering ice. Frost Queen, a vision of beauty intertwined with dread, her face a mask of wrath. "Fools, you dare challenge my dominion," she thundered, her voice like ice scraping against stone. "Your arrogance will be your undoing." Thor met her icy gaze, steadfast in his resolve. "We are the Aesir, and we will not bow to your tyranny. Your reign of cold ends here." With a flick of her wrist, the Frost Queen summoned a tempest of ice and snow, hurling it toward the gods. "Let the blizzard consume you," she shrieked, her laughter echoing through the howling winds. In that moment, chaos erupted. The warriors of Asgard rallied, striking back against the icy onslaught. Thor raised Mjolnir, channeling the storm within him, and unleashed a torrent of lightning that cleaved through the blizzard, illuminating the darkness and sending shards of ice flying. "Forward!" Freyja commanded, her sword glowing with divine light as she charged into the fray, her Valkyries following her lead, cutting through the storm with unparalleled ferocity. Sif fought alongside Thor, her blade flashing in the blinding light as they carved a path toward the Frost Queen. "Together, we can end this," she shouted, her eyes aflame with determination. But the Frost Queen retaliated with a roar, summoning forth a horde of ice spirits that surged forward, their icy hands seeking to freeze the hearts of the gods. "You think you can defeat me? I am the embodiment of winter." As the battle waged on, Thor felt the weight of the world upon his shoulders, the cries of his fallen kin echoing in his mind. The Frost Queen's power surged, enveloping the battlefield in an ethereal frost that threatened to suffocate the very essence of life. "Focus, Thor!" Sif urged, her voice breaking through the chaos. "We must strike at the heart of her power, find her weakness." Thor nodded, grit and determination flooding his veins. Together, he bellowed, rallying the gods around him. "We fight not just for ourselves, but for those who cannot fight for Midgard." With one final surge of energy, Thor and Sif unleashed their combined might, channeling the storm and their love for one another into Mjolnir. A blinding bolt of lightning erupted from the hammer, slicing through the air and striking the Frost Queen with an explosion of raw power. "No," she screeched, her icy facade cracking as the storm surged around her. But even as she faltered, she summoned the last remnants of her strength, twisting the winds into a vortex of icy fury. "Your defiance is futile," she roared, her voice laced with desperation. "I will take this world and plunge it into eternal winter." But in that moment, Freyja and the Valkyries launched forward, their battle cries mingling with the thunder as they struck at the heart of the Frost Queen's magic. "Together!" Freyja shouted, her voice a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. As the gods united their powers, lightning and ice collided in a cataclysmic explosion. The blizzard screamed, and in that moment of overwhelming chaos, the Frost Queen felt the weight of her hubris. "No, this cannot be!" With a blinding flash, the tempest of ice shattered like glass, and the Frost Queen was engulfed in a whirlwind of light and thunder, her form dissipating into the air, leaving only the echoes of her power behind. The battlefield fell silent once more, the storm dissipating into the ether, revealing the stars that twinkled above. The victorious gods stood together, breathless and triumphant, yet heavy with the remembrance of their lost kin. "We did it," Sif whispered, her eyes glistening with tears. "We stopped her." But Thor, gazing upon the remnants of battle, felt no joy. "We won a battle, dear sister, but the war of Loki'S betrayal has only just begun." As the heroes gathered, the shadows of Hashishash Part 4, the Frost Queen's Wrath. The silence that followed the defeat of the Frost Queen was deceptive, a calm that clung to the air like a ghostly whisper. Thor and Mjolnir, still crackling with residual energy, felt the weight of the hard-won victory wash over him, a fleeting sense of triumph tainted by the shadows that loomed in his heart. He gazed at the battlefield, littered with the remnants of both giants and ice spirits, but among the scattered ice shards and fallen foes, the chilling laughter of Loki echoed hauntingly. "We have just begun to fight our true battle," he murmured, his brow furrowing as he sensed the unease in the hearts of his comrades. Freyja, her battle armor now tarnished with the remnants of war, sat beside him, her fiery spirit dimmed by sorrow. "We may have vanquished the Frost Queen, but Loki'S treachery runs deeper than we comprehend. He has played us like pawns," she said, her voice steady, yet the uncertainty quivered beneath the surface. "Yes," Sif interjected, her eyes scanning the skies as if searching for a lingering threat. "But we have not yet sealed his fate. We must confront him and put an end to this madness." As they moved to regroup, the air shifted and electric tension crackled beneath their skin. Suddenly, the winds began to howl once more, swirling with a frigid fury. The clouds above darkened ominously, laden with a weight that felt far more sinister than the aftermath of a recent battle. Frost and shadow return, Thor warned, gripping Mjolnir tightly as he prepared for whatever horrors lurked beyond the veil of the storm. We must stand united. But even as he spoke, a figure emerged from the tempest, the silhouette of Loki, draped in shadows, his form flickering like a candle in the wind. He stepped forward, a sinister smile curling his lips, and the very air around him shimmered with malice. You think you can defeat me, dear brother? You are but a fleeting storm in my grand design. Enough of your riddles, Loki. Thor shuddered, his voice a booming thunder that cut through the din. What have you done? Though I've merely invited a guest to our little party, Loki taunted, waving his hand dramatically, and from the darkness beyond, a chilling roar echoed, a sound that sent a shiver through the hearts of the gods. A massive form surged forth, rising from the depths of the shadows. A monstrous frost worm, its scales glistening like shards of ice, unfurled its wings with a force that sent gusts of freezing wind slicing through the air. The ground trembled beneath its weight, and its icy breath billowed forth, threatening to engulf the gods in a blizzard of despair. Brothers and sisters, Thor called, rallying the remaining warriors, their eyes wide with fear and determination. We must fight. This worm is a harbinger of doom, sent forth by the treachery of Loki. Together, we shall bring down this beast. As a worm let loose a torrent of frost, Freyja and Sif launched themselves into action, their swords gleaming with divine light. I will distract it. Freyja shouted, her voice resonating with fierce resolve. Sif, flanked from the side, Thor strike true. With a mighty roar, Freyja leaped into the air, summoning the power of the Valkyries. Her sword illuminated the battlefield, slicing through the frigid winds as she darted toward the worm escaping maw, drawing its attention. Come, beast, face me, she cried, challenging the creature with the fearless fury only a goddess could possess. Sif, quick to follow, surged alongside Thor, her blade ready to strike. We must find its weakness, and we must do it quickly, she urged, her heart racing as the worm twisted its massive body, whipping its tail through the air like a deadly whip. Thor felt the adrenaline surge within him, determination fueling every beat of his heart. Together, he shouted, raising Mjolnir high, calling forth the very storm that resided within. The skies darkened, and the winds began to howl in response, swelling around him as he prepared to unleash the storm's fury. The worm lunged at Freyja, its icy breath swelling toward her like a tempest, but in a moment of sheer defiance, she met its onslaught with a slash of her sword. The clash of ice and steel erupted, a brilliant flash illuminating the darkness as their powers collided. You shall not claim Asgard, she roared, her voice a battle cry that ignited the spirits of warriors around her. At that moment, Thor unleashed a bolt of lightning, aimed directly at the worm. The sky cracked with brilliance, and the force of the storm crackled around him as his attack struck true. The creature roared in agony, staggering back, but it quickly regained its footing, eyes blazing with primal fury. Strike now, Thor commanded, and with precision, he and Sif charged forward, flanking the worm as Freyja continued to draw its attention. The three gods moved as one, a tempest of light and fury, their hearts united against the creature of ice. With a powerful swing of Mjolnir, Thor struck the worm's neck, sending shards of ice flying. You will regret this, Loki, he bellowed, his voice echoing through the chaos. You have unleashed a darkness that will consume you as well. Loki'S laughter danced upon the wind, an unsettling melody against the backdrop of battle. Ah, but dear brother, chaos is the very nature of existence. You will see, this is not my undoing, but yours. But as the worm fought back, its icy tail sweeping through the air, Sif was quick on her feet. She dodged, her instincts honed by countless battles, and struck at the vulnerable underbelly of the creature with all her might. Together, strike, she cried, her voice a rallying call amidst the chaos. The worm recoiled, but it was not defeated. With a furious roar, it unleashed a wave of frost, casting a blizzard that threatened to engulf the Aesir. The howling wind spiraled around them, a tempest of ice and despair, but the gods pressed onward, their resolve unbroken. We can't let it overwhelm us, Freyja shouted, her spirit undaunted. Channel your strength, together we can bring it down. Thor, bolstered by the courage of his comrades, summoned a storm anew, lightning crackling along his hammer as he shouted, I will not let darkness swallow our home. With a titanic swing, he unleashed the full ferocity of Mjolnir against the worm. Lightning burst forth, striking the creature with blinding intensity. In that moment, the winds howled, the storm roared, and the worm let out a final, earth-shattering cry. But Loki watched from the shadows, his eyes gleaming with a twisted satisfaction. You think you have won. This is merely a taste of the chaos I have wrought. The true battle lies ahead. Just as Thor struck the final blow, a worm exploded in a cascade of ice and frost, scattering the remnants of the beast across the battlefield. The remnants of darkness swelled around the gods, but the victory felt hollow as Loki'S words echoed ominously in their minds. The battlefield fell into an uneasy silence, their breaths heavy with exhaustion and uncertainty. We did it, Sif whispered, her voice tinged with disbelief. But at what cost? Frasier looked around, assessing the aftermath of their victory. We must remain vigilant, for Loki will not rest until he has plunged us into utter chaos, she warned, her eyes scanning the horizon for any signs of his return. Thor nodded, his heart heavy with the weight of their recent battles. We have won today, but the war against Betrayal is far from over. We must unite our strength and prepare for whatever darkness he conjures next. As if in answer to his words, the wind shifted once more, and shadows began to stretch across the battlefield, darkening the skies. But this time, the gods were ready. They stood shoulder to shoulder, their hearts entwined in the bonds of kinship and courage, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Together, we are stronger, Thor declared, raising Mjolnir high, letting the storm's fury swirl around him. Let Loki know that the Aesir will not be broken. We will defend Midgard and Asgard until our last breath. The warriors of Asgard rallied, their spirits ignited by Thor's words. As the winds howled and the shadows gathered, they braced themselves for the trial ahead. The saga of betrayal, honor, and perseverance would be etched into their souls, a testament to their indomitable spirits as they prepared to face the darkness once more. In the heart of their resolve, they stood united, ready to confront fate and reclaim their destiny, even as the shadows whispered of chaos yet to come. The battle for honor was far from over, and the echoes of their struggle would resound through the annals of time, a story woven into the very fabric of the realms.